Please welcome Moses Shyne Barrow.
Come here more often.
They love you.
I gotta come here more often. My goodness.
Please come on back.
This is like Madison Square Garden or Nassau Coliseum when I used to be a performer.
This is quite well. That's how I got to know you as a performer.
Yeah.
I mean, your story is. Can I say bonkers? Is bonkers maybe the most appropriate way to frame this?
Extraordinary.
Okay.
I think resilient.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like the human spirit, which is indefatigable and indomitable.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people.
But I think all of us have that.
We have that
and
in
maybe
us.
that's why those people are so excited to see me, because I represent them.
That is very kind of you. You speak to a resilience that I wish I could say I had, but I've been having foot problems for the last 7 years. I have a lot of health issues. I'm alien in that way. This isn't about me, but if you know any way to make me a stronger person, both physically and emotionally, I'll take it.
I'm sure you're resilient in other ways because I don't get involved in U.S. politics.
Yeah.
But I just, listen to your monologue, and you're still going strong.
We're still going strong.
Still
there
going
you go.
strong, right?
Yeah. You continue the fight, right?
Gotta continue your fight. I'm fighting in Belize. I don't want to get involved in American politics.
Are you sure?
Just for the record.
Anybody can be involved in American politics. What we've learned today, if you show up on TV, you could be in the cabinet by dawn.
My critics in Belize might say the same thing about me. So.
I was going to say, how do you find, what is easier to navigate, the rap world or the world of politics?
Man, politics is vicious. But, it's quite similar. In music, I was making music to be the voice of the voiceless. My art represented so much more than just a beat and being famous and being an entertainer. It was really, poetry. It was really, dissertations that were life or death. Mm-hmm. And being in the House of Representatives is the same thing. Mm-hmm. There are people that are dealing with high crime rates, high poverty rates, people dealing with inflation, people dealing with poverty. And when I go into the House of Representatives, I'm speaking on behalf of those people. Mm-hmm. So I don't care what my political critics have to say. I don't care what, the paid media or any of my detractors have to say, because I'm fighting for people. Mm-hmm. So I was doing the same thing as a musician. This is even greater for me because you're creating a society. Your policies are going to impact society at large. So not just impacting the creative sector, the agro sector, the business sector, the laborers. So similarly as a musician, because everyone listens to your music. So it really is a seamless transition for me.
Well, you found connections so early as a musician. And if people are unfamiliar with your story, a Grammy Award-winning musician, and then there's a shooting incident in a club with Puff Daddy.
I got the Grammy after the incident.
That's right. The album came out after the incident.
Well, I got Grammy nominations and credit for Usher's album. I performed on that album. Lil Wayne and Faith Evans and Carl Thomas. So this all happened while I was incarcerated, unfortunately, for taking the fall and being the sacrificial lamb for Diddy.
Yeah. Well, oof. Oof is right.
Yeah.
Well, and Diddy is a big part of your early story.
Indeed.
But also Diddy has re-emerged as a part of sort of this new American story. As you see what has happened to him in that story and reflect on that, it feels like your story of taking the fall for Diddy didn't get much attention way back when. Now, do people see that in a new light, or how do you see what is happening currently?
It's interesting because his celebrity, his power was so loud that when myself and my mom and my supporters were screaming, hey, this guy destroyed my life, this guy sent witnesses to testify against me, and I was just trying to defend him, and he's ruined my life, taken away my freedom, took away my career. Nobody was listening. Nobody heard me, and I've been saying it for so long. Then I got to a point where I said, you know what? I'm not going to keep exerting energy on blaming anyone. I'm going to take responsibility for my life. I'm going to curate my present and my future, and I'm going to let go of this baggage. And that's what I did. And thank you. And that's how I got involved in politics, and really just focused on fixing my life and not waiting for anyone to fix it, and not lamenting on who broke it. And you know, I found the right partner in Disney, Anscape, to do the documentary, and here we are. All of the events that you see happening just happen to be happening. We have nothing to do with that. And so the story is not necessarily focused on the demise of Diddy. It's focused on the celebration of my resilience, which is your resilience. Anyone that's listening right now that is going through a difficult time, anyone that's listening right now that thinks the world is unfair and they've been screwed over and they've been done wrong, I represent that hope that things work out.
Well said. I truly find it remarkable to hear your story, to watch your story, your ability to let go of perhaps your preconceived notions of who you were and to find something new. I think something that was surprising to me is after you're deported to Belize, where you were born, but then you find Orthodox Judaism. And you find real meaning in that, and use that sort of also as a path to find meaning in your life, but also as a way to also find what you got out of politics. Is that correct? I guess what part of what is remarkable to me about that is I think so much of who we are is about cementing an idea of who we are. And as somebody who finds such great success as a rapper so early in life, to be able to let elements of that go and to discover new parts of yourself just find really difficult for people to do, to let go of who they think they are.
Yeah, but I think hip-hop, I gotta give credit to hip-hop. You know, we celebrated 50 years last year. Hip-hop has always been such a multi-dimensional, diverse, cultural juggernaut. And it is transformed today where it emerged in the inner cities, and now it's global, and now it's, you know, every ethnicity, every culture, all in one. So I realized a long time ago, getting into the music business with different people that, you know, they started off as rappers, they ended up being actors, they ended up being entrepreneurs, they ended up, you know, owning clothing lines, you name it. They diversified their portfolio. Even Kanye, he ran to be president. Didn't quite work out. That's not
the first thing that comes to mind when I think of what Kanye has gone on to do, but that's one of the things.
Didn't quite work out.
Sure.
But so I learned early on in my career to be diverse and to wear different hats. And certainly Judaism has guided me every step of the way. And there was a time where I was extremely religious, but I got into praying and faith as a means of survival. Brooklyn was extremely dangerous. You know, I come from Belize. I was born in Belize, came to Brooklyn when I was 8 years old. And I grew up where bullets were whistling past my ear. I grew up where my friend would get killed. We'd be sitting here talking, heaven forbid, and someone get their brains blown out. And I realized that I couldn't survive without God. I couldn't survive without divine intervention. There was no way that I was going to beat the statistical odds of being a young African Caribbean American that was destined to go to jail or an early grave. And that's how I started praying. And that led me to my success in the music business, however short-lived it was, until I got incarcerated. So when I got incarcerated, you know, there's a saying during Passover, when you celebrate the Exodus, the Israelites, they say, Dainu. They say, you know, if I don't get anything more, it's enough what you did for me. You know, you led me out of Egypt. And that's how having faith and having Judaism as the center of my world helped me to survive. And now I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. So I still fast on Yom Kippur, I still wrap my tefillin, but I'm not a zealot. You know, I don't believe that, I believe in a two-state solution. I don't believe I don't believe in extremism. I don't believe in extremist Israeli hawks, and I don't believe in extreme terrorists. But living in Israel after I got deported, I was traveling around the world. But living in Israel allowed me to come to my truth, which is that I'm a connector. I bring people together, and I don't want to be an extremist. DJ Khaled is one of my great friends, and he's a Palestinian Muslim, and we're brothers. And that's what I believe humanity is, bringing people together. And sometimes when you get into religion, you separate humanity, you push people away, and people kill over religion. So that's what being involved in Judaism meant for me.
So you come back to America.
And then that took me back to Belize.
Yeah.
So I lived in Israel. I studied. I was ultra-Orthodox Jew, payos and everything. And then I realized the truth of my purpose was not to be in garments. It's about substance and content. And my content is about human beings, not about Jews, not about Muslims, not about Hamas, not about the right-wing extremists, not about Republicans, not about Democrats. I'm about people. And so the people that need me the most are the people in Belize. So instead of spending my time praying, I need to spend my time doing. I continue to pray, but actions are worth so much more than prayer. Because if you're just telling God a bunch of things and you're not doing anything as to that communication, then you're not, it's really not going anywhere.
I guess you can hear from the response here, we're talking at a pretty fraught time for a lot of people. Our country does feel divided. Yeah. You're here, you've seen political structures outside of America, but coming back, like what lessons have you learned through your journey that perhaps we could take forward in this fraught time where it does feel like we are pulled apart and politics is not a unifying force but a divisive one?
Nothing in life is given. So whatever policies you believe in, you have to fight for it. And sometimes you might have a temporary loss. I had a loss of 10 years, incarceration, for something that I didn't do. I was defending a friend, and a friend turned around and said, hey, it was him. And it wasn't me. It was, according to the witnesses, one witness said Diddy shot him. I never said it because, I was busy defending myself and defending him. But the point I'm trying to make is I could have felt sorry for myself for 10 years, but I didn't. I was present every day of those 10 years. Then I got deported, and I was present every day for the 13 years of deportation before I was allowed to come back here as the future prime minister of Belize. So I kept fighting for 23 years. You guys only got... I'm not taking any sides, but I'm just saying whoever's not happy with the outcome, you only got 4 years to fight.
Theoretically, yeah.
Right? So get to fighting.
Get to fighting. The Honorable Shyne will premiere exclusively on Hulu on November 18th. Moses Shyne, Barrow.